Happy 15th anniversary, Persona 4. I think that was last week, but whatever. Anyways, I've been thinking a lot about Persona remakes for the past few months, and I kind of stumbled into the thought of Persona 4 getting a remake. I don't actually see it get brought up much in conversation, probably for a few good reasons, but I'd like to tackle that thought a little bit, because while Persona 4 still is relatively good, I don't feel like there'd be no point to a remake at all.
Let me think about no.
A big part of the conversation about remakes recently has been, does the game need a remake? This conversation started to be a lot more common last year when Sony dropped the announcement about their Last of Us remake. A game that still looks good by modern standards, and therefore remaking it is kind of pointless and silly. With Persona, it seems like it's always been a bit different. A lot of people argue about Persona 3 and its need for a remake, ultimately saying that the gameplay is the main reason it does or does not need one. It feels like saying that a remake can exist for simply a visual facelift is unheard of in this community. And if we're to judge Persona 4 on simply just a gameplay scale, does it really need a remake? No, not even remotely. While the dungeon crawling is a little bit dated, it's nothing egregious. P4 is still a stable game with mostly modern gameplay. There are minor issues with the overall gameplay loop that might turn some people off, like blander dungeon crawling, but overall, it's a solid experience for every modern fan. However, if we're to ask, does Persona 4 need a remake on the visual side, that is a different story. This is a game from the PS2 era. Whether you like it or not, the visuals are dated, and this game could use a modern facelift. In the ways of Reload, Persona 4 could also benefit from upgraded visuals. But again, to address the question of, does it need a remake? No, it's really not in dire need of one. And if Atlus is gearing up for more remakes in the future, I think Persona 1 and 2 definitely need it more, seeing as those games are not available on every modern platform, or any system in the last 10 years.
We came here after eating the steak skewers.
Now let's move into the idea of if Persona 4 Golden got a remake. I'm sure one of the big ideas and the big questions is, would it get the Golden content? Considering the fact that P3 Reload does not have the answer or FemC. And I think the case for Persona 4 is different. Mild spoilers for Golden. Golden's content is directly infused with Persona 4's storyline. That's the core difference between the extra content in P4 and the extra content in P3. While it wouldn't be above Atlus at all to still skimp out on it, I think the major difference is that with Persona 3's remake, the enhanced content from FES and Portable is probably going to remain present, but the extra stories can be avoided because they are not part of the main scenario, or at least the original main scenario, if that makes sense. P4's enhanced content directly includes the addition of Marie and her storyline. You can't have the Golden Enhancements without her. Well, I mean, you technically could, but then it wouldn't be Persona 4. Of course, that's not to say Atlus can't sell an enhanced version of a Persona 4 remake with more content, aka maybe adding Arena's storyline, I guess. But I think a remake of P4 would include Golden's storyline for basically the reason of it being infused with the main game.
Dude, I have to say, I was really hoping for your help on this.
Now, ever since Persona 4 has fallen into the hands of more people, a lot of people have begun to comment about the aging of the game and how it's aged poorly. So another big question, should there be story rewrites? Personally, for me, it's a no-brainer. I say keep it the way it is, for the most part. Yes, there are elements that aged poorly, and I do think you can rewrite the dialogue and some of these scenes to steer characters in a direction they're more intended to, but the overall majority of Persona 4's story is good, even if it is a bit flawed. There are two things I'd want changed. The first being Yosuke's scrapped romance route. It's not something major, but I think it shifts his character in a much more favorable direction than where he winds up with the original Persona 4 and P4G. Maybe it was scrapped for a reason, and maybe we won't ever see it, but I don't think it harms anyone in including it at all. And if you think it does, I'm gonna tell you, it would be optional anyway, so you don't even have to do it. It doesn't matter. The other is Marie. I know she's a bit of a controversial character. I personally don't have that much of an issue with her at all, but I think her character could use some more screen time and development, something akin to what Persona 4 Golden the animation did, where she's around for kind of like the big party hangouts every now and then. She's not directly involved in like the murder mystery cases, but she's involved in like their group hangouts and stuff. I think finding a way to incorporate her more into the group makes it a better fleshed out scenario and makes her a better fleshed out character, something like with what P5R did with Kasumi. Either way, I guess there's nothing I find incredibly important for them to rewrite within the original game. Most of it has aged well, and the parts that don't, they could be altered or rewritten. I wouldn't complain, and I don't really care. But I can understand why wanting some scenes to be changed or altered is a thing. A lot of these scenes that are problematic could be removed without any problem at all. There would be no changes to the core game or its characters if they were gone.
Here goes!
Reload got a spanking brand new English voice cast, which has been relatively well received. And given how much people do like the dubs for Persona because the VAs, the direction, and the audio teams are phenomenal, I'm curious as to whether if they did a Persona 4 remake, would they recast the voices for these characters down the line? Now, of course, with P4 as of right now, there's a lot less to cover than with P3. There aren't a lot of voice actors from P3's main cast that are no longer doing voiceover, as far as I could tell, but there are a few. P4 has a lot less of that, with most of the main cast of VAs still being relatively active in the industry. Of course, that could easily change, and it's not like this is a real remake or anything. Remember that if Persona 4 was going to get a remake, we probably wouldn't see it for another 5 to 6 to 7 years. It's also possible that they just wanted to give a new team a crack at voicing these characters, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course. I certainly wouldn't mind seeing a new group of people playing these characters. But anyways, this is another one of those things that could just get changed with the remake.
Shut up. Don't tell him any more about me than you need to.
I'd say this one is an eventuality. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, and Persona as a series is constantly progressing forward. I don't think it would surprise anyone if after P3 Remake we don't actually see another remake for about 5 years, considering the dev time on Persona 3's alone. And who knows, it could actually be Persona 1 and 2 that get remade as the next remakes. I still hope there's a future where Atlus at least does make a remaster and re-release these games in the near future. So in short, yeah, I do think Persona 4 will eventually get remade. Remakes are all the rage right now, and I can't imagine that that's going to calm down anytime in the future. Will it be next? Will it be later? I don't really know. But I do want to see the next mainline Persona game before we get any more remakes after P3. So why don't you let me know down in the comments what you think of Persona 4 and if it should be remade at all. You can leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel for more things Atlus, Persona, and JRPG related. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.